The halls of the Interstellar Council were a masterpiece of galactic engineering. A vast, domed chamber floated within the heart of the nebulan vortex, its crystalline walls refracting the swirling blues and purples of the nebula outside. Delegates from 100 star systems bustled through the chamber, each encased in their species' unique protective gear. The air was abuzz with the hum of translators and the rhythmic cadence of alien languages. Yet amid this dazzling array of life, one figure stood out for her apparent vulnerability. Samantha Carter, the human delegate from Earth. Humans were a recent addition to the Council, their homeworld having only recently been discovered on the outskirts of the Zynar Spiral. In a galaxy teeming with species equipped with natural defenses, armored hides, venomous spines, or energy-shielding epidermis, humans appeared laughably unprotected. Samantha wore a simple navy blue suit and carried herself with a confidence that seemed, to most observers, utterly unwarranted. The incident occurred during a routine council session. Samantha was walking alongside Captain Threelax, a member of the Jikthar delegation, as they discussed the upcoming vote on trade sanctions. Threelax, a being whose spindly frame and glimmering carapace made him resemble a humanoid mantis, found himself distracted by the animated way Samantha gestured with her hands. Humans were like that, he thought. Always moving, always talking, as though they had an infinite reservoir of energy. Then it happened. A Chromoxian aide, towering and beetle-like, lumbered into the hallway carrying a stack of holographic tablets. His species, known for their immense strength and thick exoskeletons, were rarely gentle in their movements. As he rounded a corner, one of his massive appendages collided with Samantha, sending her sprawling to the polished floor. The impact echoed through the corridor, and time seemed to freeze. "Oh no!" Threelax exclaimed, his antennae vibrating wildly. His 6 eyes darted to Samantha's motionless form. "Delegate Carter, are you alive?" The Chromoxian aide dropped his tablets with a loud clatter, his mandibles clicking in panic. "I didn't see her. She's so small." Threelax bent over Samantha, fully expecting to find a crushed body. Most species would have been obliterated by such a collision. He prepared himself to summon medical assistance and braced for the inevitable diplomatic fallout. To his astonishment, Samantha groaned and sat up, rubbing her head. "Ow!" she said, wincing. "That was a bit rough." Threelax froze. "You're functional." Samantha blinked at him, a bemused smile spreading across her face. "Yeah, I'm fine. Takes more than a bump to keep me down." She stood, brushing dust from her suit. Her movements were fluid, unhindered by the collision. The Chromoxian aide looked on in stunned silence, his compound eyes wide. "My sincerest apologies," the aide rumbled, lowering his head in a gesture of contrition. I did not see you there. My arm." "Don't worry about it," Samantha interrupted, waving him off. "No harm done." Threelax's mandibles clicked together in confusion. "Delegate Carter, are you certain? A blow from a Chromoxian could kill most beings. Their strength is considerable." Samantha chuckled. "Yeah, I felt that. But humans are tougher than we look." She offered a reassuring grin, the kind that humans often use to diffuse tension, but which many alien species found unsettling. The sight of her teeth, a trait associated with aggression among countless civilizations, made the Chromoxian flinch slightly. The incident might have ended there, dismissed as a curious anecdote, if not for what happened next. The ripples of curiosity. By the time the council session resumed, news of the indestructible human had spread. Delegates whispered to one another, their appendages, antennae, or equivalent sensory organs flickering with intrigue. "It's impossible," muttered a Zynar scientist, whose gelatinous form quivered with skepticism. "Their biology is so soft. They lack natural armor, venom, or any defensive adaptations. How could she survive a blow like that?" A Kaltoran delegate, whose crystalline exoskeleton refracted light into a rainbow of colors, added, "Perhaps their suits are more advanced than they appear." But Threelax, who had seen the event up close, shook his head. No suit could absorb that kind of impact without damage. It must be something inherent to their physiology. By the time Samantha returned to her seat, she could feel the weight of 100 eyes, or the alien equivalent, on her. She glanced at Threelax, who was still fidgeting with disbelief. "Something on your mind?" she asked. "You were struck by a Chromoxian aid," he said slowly, as though trying to process the words. "And you remain unharmed." Samantha shrugged. "Humans are good at bouncing back. We're built that way." "Built how?" Threelax pressed. Samantha leaned back in her chair, considering the question. "Well, we don't have exoskeletons or anything like that, if that's what you're asking. But we've got bones, strong, flexible ones. And our bodies are pretty good at taking a hit and repairing themselves. I guess it's just evolution." Her nonchalant tone only deepened Threelax's curiosity. He tapped a quick sequence into his datapad, requesting the Council's Xenobiology Division to conduct a full analysis of human durability. The aftermath. By the end of the day, the incident had been recorded, analyzed, and debated in dozens of Council subcommittees. The Chromoxian aide submitted a formal apology, which Samantha accepted graciously, insisting it was unnecessary. But for the scientific minds of the galaxy, the event was the spark for something much larger. If humans could survive such an impact without natural armor or advanced technology, what other surprises might their biology hold? As Samantha left the council chamber that evening, she noticed Threelax trailing behind her. "Captain Threelax," she said, turning to face him. "Is there something you wanted to ask?" He hesitated, his antennae twitching. "If you would permit it, I would like to conduct further studies on your species, for the sake of understanding." Samantha smirked. "You want to figure out what makes us tick, huh?" "Precisely," Threelax said, his tone earnest. "The galaxy may need to reconsider its perception of humans. You are not as fragile as you appear." "Well," Samantha said, extending her hand for a handshake, a gesture that baffled Threelax, but which he returned with his delicate claws. "If it helps build bridges, I'm game. But be warned, humans can be full of surprises." As she walked away, Threelax stared after her, his mind racing with possibilities. For the first time, he realized that humanity's lack of armor wasn't a weakness. It was a mystery. And mysteries, in the vast expanse of the galaxy, were worth solving. News of the human delegate's survival against the Chromoxian shove spread across the Interstellar Council like a solar flare through an unshielded relay. By the next morning, the Xenobiology Division of the Council was buzzing with activity. Holoscreens displayed rotating 3D models of human anatomy, while scientists from across the galaxy clamored for data. Dr. Ixelmorv, a Zentan xenobiologist whose crystalline body refracted light into soft, calming hues, took charge of the inquiry. She was renowned for her meticulous nature and her fascination with the evolutionary oddities of newly discovered species. To her, humans were rapidly becoming an enigma worth unraveling. "I want a full analysis," she declared, her voice carrying authority. "Begin with their physiology and proceed to their behavior. We need to understand how these soft-bodied creatures can withstand forces that would obliterate most life forms." The volunteer. Finding a human willing to participate in experiments was surprisingly easy. The humans, it seemed, were not only durable but also endlessly curious about how they compared to the galaxy's other inhabitants. Raj Patel, a civil engineer from Mumbai, had been stationed on Nebulan Vortex for only a few months when the call for volunteers went out. Tall and lean with an easy smile, Raj wasn't particularly athletic, but he had a natural confidence that made him stand out. "So, you just want me to endure stuff?" he asked, leaning casually against a console in the xenobiology lab. Dr. Moore's crystalline form shimmered. "Precisely. The goal is to measure the limits of your resilience. You will not be placed in mortal danger." Raj laughed. "Lady, I've survived monsoon floods and Delhi traffic. This sounds like a vacation." Dr. Moore made a note in her data pad. "Your species' sense of humor is persistent. Part of the charm," Raj said, grinning. "Testing the limits." The first test was simple: exposing Raj to a vacuum chamber. For most species, the experience was fatal within seconds. Internal pressures ruptured their fragile bodies, or their biological functions shut down in the absence of oxygen. Raj, however, surprised them all. Seated comfortably inside the chamber, he waved at the observers through a thick pane of reinforced glass. As the air was slowly evacuated, he held his breath, his face calm and focused. His heartbeat, displayed on a monitor, slowed but remained steady. 2 minutes passed, then 3. At 4 minutes, the scientists ended the test, worried about pushing their volunteer too far. When the chamber was repressurized, Raj stepped out, rolling his shoulders and taking a deep breath. "Well, that was weird," he said. "Kind of like diving, but with less water." The scientists were stunned. Most species would have been unconscious, or worse, by the 2-minute mark. Raj's nonchalance added an additional layer of intrigue: heat and cold. The next series of tests explored human tolerance for temperature extremes. For cold, Raj was placed in a cryogenic chamber. The temperature was gradually lowered to levels that would freeze many species solid. Frost formed on the walls, and the air grew so cold that it crackled with static. Inside, Raj shivered but remained upright. "Chicago winters are worse than this," he said through chattering teeth. "You ever felt a wind chill of -40? The scientists, many of whom came from species adapted to temperate climates, looked at each other in disbelief. The heat test was even more revealing. Raj was exposed to temperatures exceeding those of most habitable planets. At first, he perspired heavily, his body glistening as it radiated heat. "This is nothing compared to Death Valley in July," he quipped, sipping water provided by the lab assistants. Dr. Morv observed with fascination. Humans seem to possess an extraordinary capacity for thermoregulation. Physical trauma. The final test involved physical force. A robotic arm, designed to deliver controlled strikes, was set up in the lab. The goal was to measure how much impact Raj's body could withstand without severe injury. Raj stood in front of the apparatus, stretching casually. "So, this thing's going to hit me? Like, on purpose?" "Yes," Dr. Morv said. "The force will be carefully calibrated to avoid serious harm." Raj chuckled. "All right, let's see what this robot's got." The first blow landed with a sharp crack, the robotic arm delivering a force equivalent to a heavy punch. Raj staggered slightly but laughed. "That's about what a rugby scrum feels like." The scientists adjusted the settings, increasing the force. Blow after blow landed, each one eliciting little more than a grunt from Raj. At one point, the robotic arm delivered a strike strong enough to dent steel plating. Raj winced but remained upright. "That one," he said, rubbing his shoulder, "felt like my older brother's wrestling moves. He's a big guy." The scientists were speechless. They reviewed the data, which showed that Raj's bones absorb and distributed force in ways that defied their understanding. A growing obsession. As more humans volunteered for testing, a pattern began to emerge. Samantha Carter, Maria Alvarez, Daniel Harper. Every human subjected to rigorous trials demonstrated the same extraordinary resilience. Dr. Morv compiled her findings into a preliminary report for the Council. "Humans possess an unparalleled ability to survive extreme conditions," she wrote. "Their skeletal structure, combined with their adaptive physiology and psychological resilience, makes them uniquely equipped to endure what would be catastrophic for other species." She paused before adding a final line. "Further study is essential to fully understand the evolutionary mechanisms behind this phenomenon." The Council reacts. When Dr. Morv presented her findings to the Council, the reactions were mixed. The Kaltoran delegate, shimmering like a prism, remarked, "If this is true, humans may be among the most durable species in the galaxy. But how is it possible?" Dr. Morv gestured to a hologram of human anatomy. "Their skeletal system is both strong and flexible, allowing it to absorb impacts. Their immune system adapts rapidly to new threats, and their nervous system is capable of withstanding pain to a degree unmatched by any species we've encountered. The Chromoxian delegate, still embarrassed by his earlier collision with Samantha, added, and their psychology? They appear unfazed by danger. Indeed, Dr. Morv said, humans possess a remarkable will to survive. Their capacity to endure physical and emotional hardship is unparalleled. A new curiosity. As the council session concluded, one question lingered in everyone's mind. If humans were this durable, what role might they play in the galaxy? For Dr. Morv, the answer was clear. Humanity's resilience was not just a biological quirk. It was a potential game-changer for the Interstellar Council. And for Raj, Samantha, and the other humans on Nebulan Vortex, the experiments were just the beginning. The Interstellar Council's fascination with human durability had escalated from quiet curiosity to a full-blown phenomenon. Reports of humans surviving extreme experiments and enduring conditions that would incapacitate or kill most species had circulated through every corner of Nebulan Vortex. For humanity, this attention was both a blessing and a burden. Earth's delegation had gained respect among the Council, but their newfound reputation also brought challenges. Other species, still skeptical or envious, began to wonder just how far this resilience extended. The answer would come sooner than anyone expected. The crisis on Vought Prime. Vought Prime was a mining colony on the edge of the Zynar Spiral, a desolate planet known for its harsh climate and volatile tectonic activity. The colony was vital to the Council's supply of iridium, a rare mineral used in energy production. When seismic activity caused a catastrophic collapse in one of the main mines, the Council called for immediate assistance. Hundreds of miners, of various species, were trapped deep underground, their oxygen supplies dwindling. The conditions were treacherous. Unstable tunnels, high radiation levels, and rapidly rising temperatures. Most rescue teams deemed the mission too dangerous. No known species could endure the combination of heat, radiation, and physical exertion required to navigate the collapsed mine. That's when Samantha Carter stepped forward. "Send us," she said, standing before the council chamber. "Humans can handle it." Her words caused a ripple of disbelief among the delegates. The Jikthar delegate, Captain Threelax, leaned forward, his antennae twitching. "You propose sending your people into conditions that would annihilate most species? Are you certain of this?" Samantha nodded. "We've been tested in worse environments. This is what we're good at. Pushing through when the odds are against us." After a tense debate, the council reluctantly agreed. Samantha assembled a team of volunteers, including Raj Patel and Maria Alvarez, both of whom had been part of the Xenobiology Division's experiments. "Are we really doing this?" Raj asked as they prepared their gear. "Damn right we are," Maria said, securing her helmet. "If we can survive Earth, we can survive this." Into the depths. The rescue team arrived on Vought Prime within hours. The surface of the planet was a nightmare. Dust storms whipped through the air, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. The entrance to the collapsed mine yawned before them, a dark chasm exhaling waves of heat. Samantha turned to her team. "All right, folks, you know the drill. We're going in fast and bringing those miners out. Stay sharp, stay hydrated, and keep moving." The team descended into the mine, their equipment recording every moment for the Council's archives. The deeper they went, the harsher the conditions became. The air grew thick with radiation, and the heat was suffocating. Yet the humans pressed on, their bodies sweating to cool themselves and their spirits buoyed by a determination that seemed almost unshakable. Raj took point, navigating through narrow tunnels and shifting rubble with a steady hand. "Tunnel ahead looks stable," he called back. "Let's move." Behind him, Maria carried a heavy plasma cutter, her muscles straining but never faltering. Samantha brought up the rear, her eyes scanning for signs of structural instability. "How's everyone holding up?" "Peachy," Raj quipped, though his face was slick with sweat. "Still breathing," Maria added, her voice steady despite the strain. A turning point. Halfway through the operation, the team encountered their first group of survivors. A cluster of miners, mostly Zynar and Kaltoran, huddled in a partially collapsed chamber. Their faces lit up with relief when they saw the humans. "You're here to save us," one of the miners asked, his voice weak. "That's the plan," Samantha said, offering him water. "Can you walk?" The miner shook his head. "Radiation's gotten to some of us, and the others, they're trapped further in." Samantha turned to Maria. "Get these folks topside. Raj, and I will keep going." Maria nodded, her expression grim. "Be careful. This place is a powder keg." As Maria led the survivors back toward the surface, Samantha and Raj pushed deeper into the mine. The heat was oppressive now, and the radiation levels were nearing the limit of what even humans could tolerate. The final stretch. In the heart of the mine, they found the second group of miners. These were Kermoxians and Jikthar, their sturdy bodies crushed beneath fallen debris. "We're going to get you out," Samantha said, her voice firm. One of the Kermoxians looked up, his mandibles clicking weakly. "You should not be here. The collapse, it's unstable." "Yeah, well, we're stubborn like that," Raj said, hefting a heavy beam off one of the trapped miners. As they worked to free the survivors, another tremor shook the mine. Dust rained from the ceiling, and a deep rumble signaled the imminent collapse of another section. "We're running out of time," Samantha said. "Raj, can you—" Before she could finish, a massive slab of rock broke loose from the ceiling, falling directly toward the group. Raj reacted instinctively, throwing himself over the trapped miners. The rock struck him squarely on the back, pinning him to the ground. "Raj!" Samantha shouted, scrambling to his side. "I'm fine," he groaned, his voice strained but determined. "Just get them out." With a Herculean effort, Samantha wedged her shoulder beneath the slab and heaved it upward. Her muscles screamed in protest, but she managed to create enough space for Raj to wriggle free. "You're insane," Raj said, coughing but grinning. "Learn from the best," Samantha replied, pulling him to his feet. The heroes return. Hours later, the team emerged from the mine, battered but victorious. Every miner had been rescued, and the humans had proven their mettle once again. As the survivors were loaded onto medical shuttles, Captain Threelax approached Samantha. "You and your team have done the impossible," he said, his voice reverent. "The Council owes you a debt we can never repay." Samantha shrugged, exhaustion evident in her eyes. "We're just doing what we do best, helping where we see a galactic revelation." The events on Vought Prime sent shockwaves through the Council. Humans were no longer seen as soft, defenseless creatures. Instead, they were recognized as a species of unparalleled resilience and determination. Dr. Morv, watching from the observation deck of Nebulan Vortex, made a final note in her report. "Humans," she wrote, "are not indestructible because they are armored or impervious. They are indestructible because they refuse to give up no matter the odds. Their strength lies not in their biology alone, but in their spirit, a trait that may be their greatest gift to the galaxy."